Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I hope you're having a great day so far, and I hope that you are having a great week. My name is Eric Schwefel. I'm a self-employed strength and conditioning coach from Slidell, Louisiana, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I really, truly appreciate it. I heard about this from my dad, actually. He's been following you, Simon, for a very long time. My uncle is a real estate investor, and he's been following you for I think like 10 or 15 years. My dad said he's been following you for the last 7. And when this opportunity came up, he let me know about it. And man, did the stories in my head go off, right? There was a lot of nervousness that took place. There was a lot of energy that I was feeling. And I was like, okay, this is something that can happen. And what I did is I wrote down everything, right? This video application was actually a very transformative journey for me, because not only were the thoughts of what do they want to hear in my head, what do y'all want to hear came into my head, but the thoughts of what do I want to deliver or what do I want to show. And I realized that those at that point were just semantics, right? Like, for me, if I was in your position, I would look for somebody that I could invest into, and somebody who I knew was a good person and would take this information and they would give it to people, right? They would give the information back into the world so that it can change it can make the impact, and it can transform lives. And that's what I want to show today, is to show not the things that I do, but the person that I've become, honestly, authentically, and transparently, so that you can get that idea, right? You can get that idea. That's what my father taught me. That's what my mother taught me. They taught me to show up as your best self, regardless of the outcome, right? If you show up as your best self each and every single time, then what's going to happen is that's going to be rewarded. It might not be in the way that you think it is. It might not be right away, but you show up, you give everything that you can. It's going to come back to you in tenfold. It's going to come back to you in 100. No matter how, it is going to come back. And that is something that I've held on to because it's true. It's very, very true. So what I'd like to do is take you on that journey that I went through as well, to take you on the journey of self-reflection, to take you on the journey of how going from point A to point B through my life has transformed me into a person who wants to give back and who has dedicated their life to transforming people's bodies, right? People's bodies, but also their minds and their hearts, because that is truly where lasting change comes from. So I wasn't always this way, believe it or not. In the beginning, right, when I was a kid, I was somebody who always felt that they needed to be like somebody else, somebody who always felt that they weren't good enough, somebody who always didn't feel worthy. And it was skewed too, right? It wasn't because I thought I was bad or I thought that I did something wrong. I confused humility for those different negative feelings. I believe humility is a huge piece of being an entrepreneur, a huge piece of being a good person. It's just a huge piece of really aligning yourself to who you are, at least for me. And I confused people pleasing. I confused letting others go ahead of me. I confused the word humility in my life. What I would do is, in sports, I would purposefully lose a game, but like accidentally not do something so that other people could feel that joy of winning, because it seemed like they needed it more than I did. Or when a teacher called for a leader in the classroom or whatever situation it may be, usually I'm the guy to raise his hand right away, but I would hold back and I'd look around the class to see if somebody else wanted to take that place. I was taught as a kid to shine your light, to stand as your best self, from my mother and my father, and I thought that was something that really resonated with me. But over the years, I developed the traits and I developed the characteristics of a people pleaser, and I truly wasn't happy. Like, I put myself in situations where I didn't want to do things I did things that I didn't really want to do, because other people would enjoy them, or I did things I didn't want to do in order to have the stories to relate, like, oh yeah, you know about that? Because for me, connection is huge. Connecting with other people, being able to meet them on a soul level, being able to talk to them eye to eye, like saying, hey, I see you, rather than, okay, go and do this. Going through those experiences and taking on those traits allowed me to feel normal. It allowed me to relate with people older than me, younger than me. It allowed me to really stay honest and transparent, right? I didn't develop masks, but in a way, I had one of the biggest masks on because I wasn't being myself. I was being who I thought other people wanted me to be. So what I found interesting was when that was realized, I wasn't upset with myself. I was thankful. It allowed me to see that I cared and that those experiences helped develop me into the person that I was and that I am today. You see, sometimes there's a lot of anger that we can hold in our past, and there's a lot of judgment that we can hold on to, but that wasn't the case. I used these experiences and I used these self-realizations to grow. It gave me the courage to travel the world, and it gave me the courage to become the coach that I've become today. They've given me the experiences to get out of my hometown and to push myself to grow on a new level and to never give up and to never give in. And that's something that I truly am thankful for. They've allowed me to become a successful strength and conditioning coach. They've allowed me to go through an internship at Southeastern Louisiana University, where I had the opportunity to train not only professional athletes, but to train like-minded individuals who were driven towards their goals no matter what. They did whatever it took to get to that next spot. The thing that was cool to see with those athletes was that they were lifelong learners. You know, no matter if they were always open to learning. Even with me being an intern at that time, they were open to learning if it gave them the edge. They listened to their coaches. They listened to the nutritional advice that we gave. They changed their behaviors right away because they knew what it took to get to that next level. And if they didn't know, they were open to listening. That's something that I find rare, and that's something that I really admired in those athletes, was they were open to listening in order to change. So during that time at Southeastern, that began to change in me, and I went from the athletic public university sector into the private sector, and I got to train more people and still constantly learn from them. Not only was I the teacher and the leader of groups and coaching people, but I got to learn from them and their behaviors, and not just give them, my clients, not just give them a cookie cutter program, but something that was able to help them individually. And I attribute that to my experiences, and I attribute that to the ability to relate and connect. And what I found over time is people want results. They wanted to see their body get better. They wanted to see their lifestyle change. But honestly, what my clients were looking for in the end was some type of connection. They were looking for somebody to listen to them, and they were looking for somebody to help them grow. They just didn't know how to communicate that with themselves. So we had insights, and we had aha moments, and we had chances and opportunities to not only change themselves, but to change others, like their family, in the process. And with those experiences, those talks, and that connection, changes wouldn't have been possible. You know, they wouldn't have been able to get to the point they needed to in order to grow. We in life go through so many different cycles and patterns that keep us trapped in a negative and miserable state, that we feel stuck and we feel like we just can't get out no matter what. And one of the things that I've learned is you find a coach that's able to take you from that one spot into the next, except not every coach is meant for every person. And sometimes if that misfit happens, it can be detrimental. And what I've learned is, in order to not to avoid that misalignment, to pre-qualify, you need to meet people where they're at, and you need to meet them almost on a soul level, and actually see them for who they are, not just their habits, not just their traits, not just their characteristics. Because when you see somebody for who they truly are, you can help them get in a place where they can change. We as coaches are the catalyst. However, we need to be a true reflection of ourselves so that we can show our clients the true reflection of themselves. It's true what they say in entrepreneurship: your business only grows as much as you do. And the amount of energy that you have in order to affect somebody is only applicable. You can only apply that and give that to the amount that you give to yourself, right? You can't help somebody if you haven't been in the problem, and if you can't help somebody, if you haven't experienced or grown from that problem yourself. So what I've learned over time is I don't just help people lose fat or weight or build muscle. I don't help people just get more sleep or even bring their families back together, but I help them realize who they are, and I help transform people deep within themselves, within their heart, and I do that non-judgmentally, and I do that by being myself. In order to help someone, you need to be open to them. If we're closed off and we're waiting to speak, right, before actually listening to what they need, then we're doing a disservice to our client. We're doing a disservice to the person that we're coaching or we're trying to help, whatever conversation. And that doesn't vibe with me, right? I believe that we need to be open, we need to listen, and we need to be present. And in order to do that, it takes a client-centered attitude, and it takes a non-judgmental attitude too, right? We need to see these people with love, not with lack or that they're a bad person, because they're not. They just are looking for a transformation, and we are the people that can give it to them, right? With that, I strive to over-deliver, but I strive to over-deliver, but I strive to not over-promise, right? With coaching, my big thing is integrity. I've had coaches who, let's just say we could have done better together. Things just didn't work out in that way, and I've experienced what bad coaching is, and I've experienced what good coaching is, and I realize that good coaching comes from the best intentions, meaning that the coach wants the best for the client. The coach isn't just in it for the coach to have a great case study. They're in it for the client no matter what. They're there, they apply themselves, and they are not thinking about something else or somebody else when they are present with that person. And y'all, it makes all the difference being able to show up, because sometimes you're the only person in that person's life that's willing to sit down, help them, and be with them during this troubling time. And truly to do that, it moves people. It moves people in the strongest sense. In the strongest sense. So I strive to over-deliver. I don't strive to over-promise, because I want to be able to give of myself but not have myself drained, and I want my clients to know what they can rely upon, right? They know what they're getting right off the bat. They're not expecting things any differently. They have clear expectations of what our relationship is going to be like, and that in and of itself is huge. A coach wants to know that a client is committed, just like you want to know that I would be committed in this entrepreneurship camp, which is something that I can 100% confidently say that I am, right? Over time, I have noticed how thankful and how important it is to be thankful and to practice gratitude, not only to what you currently have, but from the things of the past and the things of the future. And I'm thankful for having these traits and these pieces of me instilled in me by my parents, by their discipline, by their guidance, by their passion, and by them pursuing their own goals as well. My mission is to use my personality, my positivity, and my passion to help transform people's lives from the inside out. What I've learned over time is, as a strength and conditioning coach, as somebody who helps people transform their bodies, is that transformation has to take place on the inside first, and then from there, transformation takes place on the outside. The internal world dictates the external world. And those insights that people get, those aha moments when they get really excited, that's what drives me, and that's what has been driving my business. It's not just about what they accomplish, but it's about who my clients have become as they've accomplished their goals and blasted past their weight deadline, or excuse me, their weight goals, their weight barriers, and the deadlines that they've set for themselves. And what I've learned is, to do that, I've got to first walk my path. I've got to run it. I've got to sprint to it. And it's not always easy to do that, but it's always worth it to push yourself to grow. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And that's something that's always rung true for me, and that's something that I'm doing right now, right? I want to put myself into a position where it may not be easy, but it's extremely worth it. About 2 years ago, I did that in a very big way. I left the job, my personal training job that I had, and I went on my own to become self-employed. I was doing online coaching, fitness coaching for a while. I missed the connection of personal coaching, of doing it one-on-one with a person. And I started my own gym, or I started training people in a local park. Eventually, I think it was within 16 weeks, I opened up my own gym. Not even 16 weeks, it was 3 months, 12 weeks. I opened up my own gym, and then from there I've been growing that gym over the last 2 years. I'm learning the ins and outs of business, of customer service, and how your business only grows as much as you do. And if you prevent yourself from growing, you're also preventing other people from growing. And that's not something that I want to do. It costs way, way too much. So what is my solution in order to not allowing that to happen? It's having this conversation, even though it may be a little bit more one-sided, with you. It's letting you know that I'm a person who puts themselves in uncomfortable situations in order to grow. It's letting you know that I'm not somebody who stays stagnant, but somebody who's always looking at some situation from a different angle in order to find the solution. And not just the solution that's best for one person, but the solution that's going to affect the most amount of people, and it's going to affect them positively. Because it's just as easy to find a solution that works for one, but is harmful to others. And that's not what it's about. It's about benefiting and impacting as many people as possible. And I know with your guidance, Simon, and with the guidance of your team, that the participants of this camp are going to grow leaps and bounds. They're going to grow years within a matter of days. And I know that when it's finished, they're going to be able to impact thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And, you know, that freaking rocks my socks. Like, it gets me, excuse my French, it just gets me fucking excited. And that's something that I would like to feel. That's something that I would like to experience. I'd love to surround myself with like-minded individuals, those that are just starting out and those that have been in the game for years and years and years. There's something to be learned from every single person, and there's something to be said for those who put themselves in the positions to be with those people over and over and over, because what we're exposed to is what we become. And if we expose ourselves to the best, then we're going to become the best. And that's what I want to do. I want to expose myself to the very best out there. And I know that becoming a part of this camp, it will get me one step closer to that. It will put me in the company of those who are the top, who are at the best of their craft in everything they do. It's amazing to me to see the dedication that your team members have given. One of your team members is a Krav Maga expert and master. I've been following Craig Ballantyne for so long. Craig is the world's most disciplined man. And to be in the company of those that will be teaching us. It would be like a freaking honor and a freaking privilege, and it would just be something that would, I know, transform my life, transform my world, and transform everybody in my world, change their lives, and then it would also just change their thinking and their hearts. And that's, to me, what it's about, is to either create or be the catalyst for that change. So I want to thank you for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. I'm extremely grateful. My name is Eric Schwefel. I am a self-employed strength and conditioning coach from Slidell, Louisiana. I hope that you have a great day. I hope that you have a great week. And I want to remind you, this is something that I tell every single one of my clients with a high five after and before our sessions, is that you are unstoppable. And that is something that I truly believe, that each and every single person is unstoppable. So once again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I hope that I will see you in Lithuania soon.